All right, I'm going to get going. I don't know where my fellow judges, so apologies for the bit of confusion, but welcome to the Super Connector for Good AI for Good finalist pitching session. My name is Philip Murray, and I'm the Startup Program Leader for UK, Ireland, and Northern Europe at OVH Cloud, a leading European cloud provider. I'm the lead judge for today's session, and hopefully Anna Maria Zlotnik from Hayes will be joining me shortly. So I think you'll agree AI is great. It's predicted that AI will increase business productivity by 40%, and today we go that step further and hear about AI for good and how it can be used for good. And so we're going to now go into the pitching sessions. Those will be 5 minutes of pitching and then 2 minutes of questions. Feel free to post any questions in the Q&A if you'd like us to raise some of those questions to those pitching. So I'm going to get right down to it now. The first company up is Nosy, and it's Karina Kuna that's pitching. Karina, I don't see you again on the stage. If you can get up there, that'll be. There we go. I'm just going to call Karina up now.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, great you're back. Hi, good to see you, Karina.
Good, good.
So, when you're ready, would you like to share your screen?
Of course, of course. Just 1 second. How can I share my screen right now? 1 second.
So there should be a button there with a little red line through it.
Perfect.
The screen or the other, that's the one that you need to use for that.
Okay, great. I'm just going to maximize it so I don't have as many options as I was hoping. 1 second. Okay, for AI for good, my tech problems are not the best. Okay, so thank you for listening to us today.
Okay, so you're going to start?
Yeah.
I'll start the clock.
Amazing, thank you. So today I want to talk to you about Nosy, and let's give a little intro for us. So we created Nosy about 3 months before COVID because there is a big problem in the world today, and that's air pollution. About 20 minutes in the London Tube is equivalent to smoking a cigarette. 1 hour in your car. You can see, we think about dirty water, but we are not thinking about the air that we breathe. So when we began developing Nosy, we started doing a number of tests, and this is exactly what you are inhaling when you are traveling in London for a couple of weeks. The stats are actually pretty terrifying. 1 in 9 people every year die because of air pollution. About 2.3 billion people actually suffer from hay fever, COPD, asthma, and have respiratory illnesses that are further exacerbated by air pollution. And we have a number so small that I cannot say of air pollution towers tracking what we're actually inhaling on our day-to-day. So the goal of Nosy is to both protect your health while also providing you with information as to what you're breathing. And we do this by having a physical protection through our devices. We have a tech and non-tech version. We also have air pollution and allergen tracking with APIs provided by the government, and we're currently building a mask with sensors for tracking air pollution externally and also people's breathing part and internally. The part where AI comes in is that we are building this data set in order for us to actually be able to predict air pollution patterns worldwide, and also the impact of air pollution on people as they go through their day. So with our Nosy product, we hope that our users can be helping others by informing that network and also providing the first look as to how air pollution is actually impacting people's respiratory health on a day-to-day basis. The traction that we have is that we sold over 1,000 units. We have 70 distributor inquiries worth thousands of Ks, 5 R&D partnerships to investors. We have received 133K in investment and grant funding, and we have appeared in over 200 TV shows, blogs, articles, and features. In terms of the benefit for the user, our current MVP, which doesn't have sensors yet, people are really loving it for the protection from hay fever. They don't need to have medicine. This is actually one of the slogans that one of our customers has shared with us. They can run and they don't have fog glasses, etc. But our mission is much bigger than that. As you know, we have a number of institutional partners, including the University of Waterloo in Canada, to help us build the sensor and the tracking network for the data of our users, and a number of other NHS trusts and hospital and university partners that we're doing the day-to-day research with. The roadmap is that currently we are building the Air app, which is the device that is going to be pairing with the app that is going to be pairing with our device, and also collect a lot of data in terms of what people are inhaling, what are some of the symptoms that they may have been experiencing, if they have asthma, COPD, etc. And next year we are going to be opening our company for potential B2B sales, because at the moment we are partnering with a number of universities and hospitals to be collecting enough data for us to be applying for medical certifications with our V2, which is building on a lot of the improvements that we already have learned from our customer feedback for our V1. And our long-term goal is to, with the data that we are actually collecting with Nosy, is inform people, protect them, and also we will have for the first time a real understanding of how air pollution is impacting people on a day-to-day basis, because currently we only see the impact of air pollution when it's too late. But our hope is that by actually seeing that gradual change in a person's health, we can actually push policy changes that can create a better world. So if you have any questions.
Yes, perfect timing. Thanks, Karina. I'm just going to see if we've got anything there from the audience, but yeah, it'll be good to hear a bit more about the certification side of things, which is always interesting for any startup or scale up, and obviously key for your access to market. Can you go into a bit more detail about that?
Yeah, of course. So we don't need that many certifications because we are a superficial product. So at the moment, we only really require CE marking. But because we're looking to be working with hospitals and medical distributors, we have a grant with UKRI and the University of Portsmouth Hospital, University of Surrey, to actually be testing Nosy over a period of 1 year, so we can be seeing what our filters are picking up, and then apply for a level 1 medical certification, so we can potentially become a partner for hospitals and patients looking to be using our device. But currently we are selling the device without being a medical product, as just an accessory.
Okay, brilliant. I've got a question from the audience. Great product. Are you concerned the look design might turn people off purchasing?
Of course, and that's one of the things that we had to do over the last couple of years. And we launched with quite a weird aesthetics, because we wanted to pretty much rise above the surface with so much pollution about face masks during COVID. But after having our first 1,000 users, we got feedback. And one of the things that we're actually doing is we are miniaturizing the device. So our V2 is going to be about 1/5 of the size. Currently, we create a seal around a person's nose. So that's why you need that bigger device, and it needs to fit different shapes and sizes. But we have something in the pipeline that is going to allow us to make it a lot smaller and more subtle. We are going to be launching that in the spring. So I'm really excited. And to be honest, the users were the ones that helped us come up with that change.
Brilliant. Well, Karina, thanks very much. We're out of time. I'm going to move straight on now to Adam Bryan from CanSense. Morning, Adam.
Hello, how are you?
Good, and yourself?
All good. So I will get going because I'm due on the other stage very shortly as well. So
really? Okay. We'll get
which is a nice problem to have, no doubt.
Yes. Absolutely.
So thank you for this opportunity. We are taking on one of healthcare's greatest challenges, made worse by the pandemic. Our mission at CanSense is to diagnose the very earliest stages of cancer and pre-cancer, saving more lives. Many of you, I'm sure, have had similar experiences to myself where people that they've cared about have been diagnosed with cancer, and for some it's been diagnosed too late. We are offering an alternative future, looking to build back better diagnostic services, better with an aim to significantly reduce the high levels of cancer mortality. Our patented technology is designed to detect bowel cancer at extremely early stages, such that it is even treatable and curable, while significantly reducing the burden on the healthcare providers. Our award-winning team brings together business, clinical, technical acumen and is based upon over 7 years actually working together. We're robustly supported by a wider advisory group, such as the Clinical Director for Cancer in Wales, but through this competition, connecting us to business accelerators like OVH Cloud, Microsoft, charity organisations like Bowel Research UK, and importantly for us, Social Tech Trust, and an organisation that has changed our very way of thinking about our impact and even our business model. And the problem is this: bowel cancer is the second biggest cancer killer. It's on the rise globally and on the rise under 50s. And yet 60% of people are still diagnosed at late stages with only limited chance of survival. When if detected early, it's for the most part treatable and even curable. Now more than ever, we need more acceptable at the GP and more acceptable testing for all, such that we impact early detection leading to reduced mortality, affordable testing for all in our society, inclusion for the hardest to reach, diversity in addressing the inequalities, inequity within our society around testing and well-being. Patients tell us they are reluctant to see their GP, not wanting to do a fecal test or have an invasive colonoscopy. The GP is trying to manage the risk of vague symptoms, not wanting to miss cancers, but just can't refer all. Into secondary care, which has a capacity crisis, with a further backlog in patients due to COVID. The payers recognise the unmet need, but have huge budgetary constraints and challenges with innovation adoption. All of this is producing the current situation, poor detection and poor survival rates. CanSense solution is a patient-focused, familiar blood test done at the GP surgery, used as a tool to refer to secondary care those at highest risk, and rapidly reassure most of us that we don't have cancer. The value into the payers themselves is a cost saving of 265 million in a reduction of colonoscopies, with a further saving in late stage cancer treatment. The method is based on laser spectroscopic sampling of the blood, which takes less than 15 minutes, has no costly reagents, and produces a unique spectral fingerprint for the patient. With our AI-based models able to train and identify the specific biomarkers that are associated with bowel cancer. Imagine, if you like, a barcode reader for the blood, returning a quick diagnosis, reduce patient anxiety. As a B2B service provider, we recognise selling to the NHS is tough, so we've developed a two-pronged route to market, continuing our clinical trials with GPs, but also working with pharmaceutical companies, which can add real revenue into the business at the earliest possible moment. Furthermore, all providers are focused on value-based healthcare provision, and our cost-effective blood test fits well with this. Our vision is for our test to be used in general population screening globally, in regions that simply don't have any testing, like India and Africa, creating the world we would like to see, where inequity of testing is reduced. Furthermore, we're already working on other cancers, imagining a single pan-cancer blood test. Many companies are in this space.
30 seconds.
Many focused on, like Grail, on early detection, but costing hundreds of dollars. we are looking for 1.2. Excitingly, we've secured a letter for 1.2 million of non-dilutive funding with the help of many partners. We're looking for 1 million in equity funding to take us further on our 4-step strategy approach over the next 36 months. Finally, our partners and now friends have come from awards like this, Hayes and Impact Ventures, which have connected us with major business accelerators like OVH Cloud and Microsoft and Social Tech Trusts, charity partners like CR UK and Bow Research UK.
Right, thanks.
Enabling us to connect with over 200 stakeholders and potential customers. And I'll finish there. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. I know you have to rush off. Do you have time for a question or do you need to move on?
I have a time for a question, yes.
All right, biggest challenge to date and how you tackling it or have tackled it?
Yeah, our biggest challenge is no doubt, as you spoke to the other person, around regulatory environment. We as a early stage business need funding in order to get us over the regulatory hurdles. And that's quite difficult from an angel investment as well as an equity investor of a venture capital type firm. So that's where the government has to plug that gap. And fortunately, now we've secured that funding with the letter of intent, as I mentioned.
All right, brilliant, Adam. Well, good luck with your next pitch. Thanks for joining us. And we're now going to move on to Bright Idea, Cosmico, Ibrahim Farouk.
Appreciate it. Thanks all.
All right. Here we have Ibrahim.
Good morning.
Morning, Ibrahim. Welcome. And the floor is yours. You can go ahead and share your screen. Great.
Fantastic. Can you see my screen okay?
We can, yes.
Brilliant.
And I will start the clock. 5 minutes.
Amazing. So thank you so much, guys. My name is Ibrahim Farouk, and I'm the founder and CEO of Cosmico. And it's a pleasure to be presenting Super Connect for Good. Cosmico was founded about 3-4 years ago. And one of the reasons for founding Cosmico was my own kind of disadvantages growing up with education. This love-hate relationship I had, being dyslexic, loved learning, didn't really appreciate the way I was getting taught. Fast-tracking a few years, I founded Cosmico, and what Cosmico is today is a personalized, game-based teaching, learning, and supporting app that deepens and accelerates children's learning. Using our ML and AI, we've been learning about how children learn, adapting our gameplay to the way they like to learn and how we can get their strengths out and while filling in their learning gaps. And by offering this tailored experience, we've been able to validate our product with over 4,000 children across the UK. We're working with over 27 schools. We've been supported by Brunel University, and we've seen a 20% increase in child learning attainment for their critical subject knowledge. Now, this has resulted in 90% more smiles in children preferring our app to others, and 97% of parents saying that they would buy our Cosmico app. Now, the problem that we're tackling at the moment, and starting with only 2 points, is that most educational apps adopt a one-fits-all approach. And most educational apps only test pre-existing knowledge and act as digital worksheets. Now more than ever, we need a product that adapts to the way the child likes to learn to help close the learning gap that has been created by COVID-19. What our solution is, it's quite simple. It's adaptive. So the product learns and caters to the child's learning needs, filling in those learning gaps. It's gamified to the point where the product has got rich gaming mechanics where a user can build their world, explore our Cosmico universe, go on multiplayer adventures with their friends. It's curriculum aligned. So it's exactly in relation to what they'd be learning in the classroom, but in a more fun, constructive manner on the move or at home. And most importantly, the product has really rich gaming integration where children can go on these fantastic adventures without feeling as if they're doing these worksheets or without getting bored at all. Now, as much as it's important to make sure that children are engaged, having fun and learning, it's just as important to make sure that their parents are just involved. And for that very reason, we've created the parent portal in which parents can see the multiple subjects that their children are learning within the Cosmico app. They can see how well they're doing. They can see all the data that we're tracking and monitoring to adapt to the child's learning needs and giving parents the reassurance that their child is on age-related expectations or where the learning gaps are. And by offering this great service, we're giving parents an ability to finally get under the hood and get understanding of how the children are learning and where they're really at. Our mission is really to help children fall in love with learning. And how we've done this so far is really kind of shown in our results, where, like I've mentioned, over 4,000 children across the UK use our product on average, over 1,500 subscribers to date, with over 10,000 downloads in 2020 alone. Now, we've partnered up with some really cool brands, which now became our really close friends. We've been backed by Innovate UK with grant funding. We work very closely with Brunel University. We just signed a really fantastic and exciting deal with DK, part of the Penguin Random House, to bring children a wide range of books within our product that they can learn. And as well as signing with Herbert Brewer Media, which is giving us access to over 50 brands such as CBBS, Lego, Match of the Day, to offer children part of the reward system, a better incentive to learn and to fall in love with learning. Some of the feedback we've got is this is one of the best maths game, and it's great fun and it's very exciting from our students. Our product roadmap, this year we've introduced 3 subjects, bringing maths, English and science, as well as AI tracking and really understanding where the strengths and weaknesses are and adapting to the child's learning needs, as well as introducing multiplayer in December. In 2020, we'll be doing 4 subjects, as well as enhancing our AI tracking into emotional tracking to make a more fuller picture on how our user is playing our games and the experience, and as well as expanding out into multi-territories. And this kind of growth will be getting propelled in the coming years. Again, kept it very short, but we're Cosmico, we're an early starter. We're going to be launching our app V2 in the next couple of days. We hope you all can give a product our little shot, give us a review if you can. We are going to be fundraising again next year, but we'd love to answer some questions if you have any.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ibrahim.
No worries. Thank you so much.
And one quick question from myself.
Yeah.
As a parent, you know, all the screen time, great. It's amazing to have these products like yours. How do you balance that with just picking up a pen or a pencil and and doing these math techniques or writing? How do you see that working?
I think it's always a matter of understanding what is good quality screen time and what is bad quality screen time. We see our product, and of course, we don't ask children to spend hours and hours on our product. We say, hey, 30 to 30 minutes a day is more than enough, because it's age-related, it's adapting to where you like to learn, but it's also identifying where those learning gaps are. Pen and paper is great for fine motor skills. However, it doesn't adapt to the way you like to learn. I think the future of education is on a device, as we've experienced due to COVID-19. And I think it's part of our job to kind of really educate parents on the effectiveness of the right product and the right amount of quality screen time and how productive it can be. Of course, we do want to make sure that children are developing their skills and are getting time to kind of do the more traditional stuff, which they do plenty of in a classroom environment. This product has been made really to kind of adapt and to identify the strengths and weaknesses and the learning gaps and fill them in at home. And then you can do the more traditional practices in a classroom where it's going to be a bit lagging behind in terms of catching up to the future of education.
Thanks, Ibrahim. Well done. And we're going to move on now to Citibeats. Ivan from Citibeats.
Thank you so much, everyone.
All right, so as I said, next up is Ivan from Citibeats. Hi, Ivan. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. A great screen shared. So I'm going to get going straight away with the clock. Over to you.
Perfect. Thanks, Philip. Hello, everyone. And thank you for having me here today. I think you all agree with me when I say that the current digital acceleration we are experiencing has changed the way we look at data. Actually, we believe that it's imperative to define new and more responsible ways to use data. Or as someone has defined it, as a tsunami of data, right? So did you know that 90% of the world's data was generated in the last 2 years? According to the World Economic Forum, 2.5 quintillion bytes are generating every day. And this means 18 zeros, just for your information. With this massive quantity of data, also misinformation, disinformation, and the infodemic grew, especially aggravated by the pandemic. And this is a problem for decision makers because there is a high risk of getting biased data. Did you know that in Latin America, Twitter conversations are around 70% male and 30% female? And can you imagine the quantity of decisions taking with this biased data? Biased data is the precondition for denying inclusiveness, representativity, and accuracy. And this leads decision makers to react late and in the wrong way, not understanding the real needs of all citizens. So how can we have unbiased data in real time for social good? Hi, my name is Ivan Caballero. I'm the CEO and founder of Citibeats, a software as a service company with an ethical and social focus. We develop AI solutions to detect changes in society earlier than traditional survey methods and the media. Citibeats has been funded for understanding citizens' needs and deliver decision makers unbiased data in real time to discover actionable insights with a positive impact. Citibeats proprietary algorithms combine NLP and machine learning, analyze large amounts of unstructured text data and other types of files where text can be extracted to identify in real time social trends, people's opinions, and concerns. Citibeats platform filters relevant content, classify users' opinions and information into categories, and extract actionable insights and patterns automatically in real time, in changing environments, at scale, and reducing bias associated with gender or age. These are the three pillars that support Citibeats' ethical and responsible approach to technology: the protection of users' privacy, the representativity and inclusiveness of the data, and the application of our technology for use cases with a positive impact in society. Let me put you some examples on how are we applying our platform. So the EARS platform launched by World Health Organization and powered by Citibeats to show real-time information about how people are talking about COVID-19 online, so to prevent and help better manage of the infodemic as the pandemic is evolving. This platform is being used also for other pandemics, like, for example, Ebola. Or Civiclytics, a platform to help Inter-American Development Bank understanding complex civic issues across Latin America by listening to the perceptions and concerns of millions of citizens in 26 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean in real time. Allow me to show you a real life example on how this platform is helping them in the previous use cases, reacting to leading indicators. In this graph, you see how Citibeats detected a food security problem in Colombia 14 days earlier than the media. In this case, it's the New York Times. 25 days earlier than any social media amplification, and 35 days earlier than any reaction from a company or the government. So from when the social episode takes place to when something is done by decision makers, 35 days pass. A huge amount of time that you can use to implement strategies to prevent any social tension or problem, improving citizens' conditions and probably also saving lives. We don't want to put human lives and money at the same level, but intervening late has also a huge cost for society. It's been estimated that the delay of 35 days is costing $6 trillion per year to the whole world.
30 seconds.
We work on a global scale with industries where trends and society level matter to decision making, public sector, financial services and infrastructure. We collaborate with amazing partners. And in just 3 years, we have represented over 70 million voices all around the world. We have developed projects in 55 countries and helping them reacting 90 days earlier. We have informed more than $1 billion in social risk mitigation decisions. And we are here to help. We are on the right track, and we invite you to build together a more responsive and inclusive society. Thank you very much.
Sure. Can you see everything?
Yep, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Perfect. I'm Nicola. I'm co-founder of Happyr Health, developing mobile well-being for teens in pain. I myself have been experiencing chronic pain since I was 4 years old. I've been living through the physical challenges, what it means to have chronic pain again and again, but also what it means emotionally and socially. And there are 1 in 4 young people worldwide who experience chronic pain as well. and we are twice as likely to develop mental health disorders. While at the same time, clinicians, experts, guidelines recommend, yes, demand that we treat emotional and physical well-being equally. Mental well-being is currently ignored in chronic pain. So what we are doing at the moment, if you imagine that chronic pain is like a beast, like a dragon you live with, we are throwing a pill from the far end of the room. And as a teen, as a young person, you just hope that the dragon gets the pill and calms down. Nothing else could help you. But that's not true. We already know that digital psychological interventions can help to reduce the pain severity by over 50%, to improve quality of life for young people with chronic pain, and to reduce also costs because there are less healthcare resources that have to be used. Yet the current available solutions are standardized. They're linear content. They are the same for everybody. So there is low adherence to any therapies and short-term effects. Well, what we need to tame the dragon is long-term behavior change. And that's exactly what we are doing at Happyr Health. We have developed a personalized mental health app for youth in pain, which is currently available and already being tested with young people, with teenagers who experience chronic pain via Android and iOS. Let me walk you through it. We start with a gamified mood diary because we need to assess also how a young person, a teenager, feels emotionally. And this helps us to understand when you as the user need our support. We have a personalized symptom tracker. So you can additionally to your emotional well-being track your physical well-being. So you focus on continuous self-management, which we empower by allowing users to create their own diaries. And most importantly, and the core of our app, is that we have a deep learning therapy matching. So based on the two diaries, but also on your user behavior, on your preferences, on what we understand that you like, that you respond well to as a user, we match you with evidence-based coping strategies that are based on, for example, cognitive behavioral therapy, which has shown reduction in pain severity, relaxation techniques, or breathing techniques. And finally, you as the user, but also your doctor, can gain novel insights, and medical decisions can be enhanced by understanding this psychographic data. It's not just me and a few other children, young people, teenagers, young adults who experience chronic pain. If we're looking at the UK alone and the beachhead market of only 10% market share with just primary headaches, which is only one disease group, there's already a beachhead market of £80 million. But increasing, if we look at the global opportunity, up to £570 billion. So who are we? We are two pain patients who have founded Happyr Health. We both lived through chronic pain. I'm still living with chronic pain, knowing exactly what it means to go through it. But also we have the professional expertise with a background in startup management, with a background in product design, and also support from, for example, the Innovate UK Women in Innovation, the Women in Innovation Award. But we also have a team of professionals who help us develop our application. We additionally work with world-leading experts in pain management and are currently conducting our acceptability pilot with NHS Leeds. And I'll jump to the final slide. We're really looking forward to working together with SuperConnect for Good, but also with OVH Cloud to get our app to market, but also scale our AI model to tame the dragon. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Nicola. Great pitch. A quick question for you would be, what has been your biggest challenge to date, or your current challenge, and how you're addressing it?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
What has been your biggest challenge to date, and how have you been addressing that?
Tricky question. There are a lot of challenges on the way. I think the biggest challenge is working with a very diverse group of young people, which is kind of a challenge on the one hand and very positive on the other hand, because young people are also very creative and bring in a lot of ideas. So really finding what is equally important for different age groups. As we know, as a teenager, even 1 year can make a huge difference. But there we have our own patient advisory board where we have different people with chronic pain from different age groups to really test and validate what we're building in the app and how we have to deliver what they need.
No, great. Well, thank you very much and all the best.
Thank you.
We're now going to move on to Miicare, and I'm going to bring up Kelvin. Morning, Kelvin.
Good,
right, hopefully I won't have any
morning, Phil.
More issues. Right, your screen's coming up. Great. So I'll get the timing going and all over to you.
Thank you.
Right, off you go.
Right, okay. 1, 2, 3. This is how each second feels when you're on the floor with a broken hip, in agony, and not knowing if help will ever arrive. My name is Kelvin Summergum. I am the CEO of Miicare, and this is the problem that we are addressing using AI. Now, did you know 3.9 million older adults fall every year? 1 in 8 adults will leave their career to care for their parents. In the UK alone, there are 8.8 million people who are unpaid carers. Some spend up to 50 hours per week looking after their elderly parents. It's hard, it's emotionally draining. We have so many tech out there right now, but why we still have a problem with our elderly demographics? To find out, I decided to spend 18 months to understand the pain points, find out how older adults are managing today. And what I found was the following. Voice assistants are great for playing music, but they are passive and they need internet. The pendants, the older adults find degrading and keeps them in the drawer or by their bed. Apple Watch and Fitbits, they just can't keep up having to charge the device regularly. And what they said they needed was something that will help them to live independently in their own house, feel motivated, and address this huge issue of loneliness. And this is exactly what we built. This is Monica, our AI voice assistant, which is hosted through a cube. And the idea here is to have 4 different functionalities packed into one device. And that's telehealth, behavioral pattern analytics using our proprietary AI, digital companionship, and the provision of incident response, which means we can get a carer, a neighbor, a family member to attend to an incident in less than 10 minutes. How it works, you have an ecosystem of sensors that captures the data, and the data is aggregated by our cube. And the data is then further analyzed on our cloud platform. And once we've identified something which is unusual, we send a notification to responders, but Monica would also engage with the older adults. In terms of our go-to-market strategy, this is being pushed forward as a SaaS business model, where you pay an upfront cost of about £300 for the hardware, and you pay £1 per day subscription. Our verticals are currently B2B and B2B2C, focusing on the sectors that you can see on the right of the screen. In terms of our traction, we completed mass production in November 2020 and since made 165K in revenue and raised 2.1 million in equity funding. We're now working with over 23 customers across the UK and also in the US. And you can see some of those customers on the slide here. In terms of our financials, this is how we intend to grow the business. We have a clear roadmap how we will achieve this. And the focus right now is in the UK, but we intend to move in the EU and the US, where we will see a big growth due to the reimbursement model. 2021 was mainly pilots, tests, learn and improve. And 2022 is going to be our first stage growth, and we anticipate hitting product maturity by 2024. In terms of our revenue, we intend to hit a revenue of 660 million by year 5 with an EBITDA of 304 million. Now, behind all great startups, there is a great team, and our team is made up of 17 experts in data science, medical doctors, and software developers. With your help as strategic partners, which is what we are looking for, we can change something like this to something like this. Thank you.
Sorry, Calvin, you can hear me? Yep, time is up, unfortunately. All right, thanks, Calvin. One quick question for you. How have you adapted, both in terms of how you engage with your end user and as a business because of COVID-19?
Okay. Phil, you're still breaking up, but I understood part of it. So we've engaged with our users directly, so we are able to send the device to them, and with our AI, the AI interacts with them and help them to install their own products. But families as well don't have to go and visit their elderly parents, because through our AI, through our mobile app, they can interact with their elderly parents through voice as well. And OVH have been a partner and supported us in a lot of our hosting, and we've been able to overcome a lot of challenges through the pandemic, and the business actually grew bigger during the pandemic for obvious reason.
Great. Well, thanks for the pitch. And we're now going to move on to Kids Speech. Shona from Kids Speech. Thanks, Calvin.
Thank you.
All right, Shona, morning.
Good morning.
Hopefully you can hear me. Apologies, everyone, for the internet. I'm actually going to try killing my video now already, just to help. But take your time to get up and running there with the screen.
Sorry, where's this screen thing gone again?
It's a little screen with a red line through it.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Okay, shall I start?
Yes, brilliant. Over to you.
Great. Good morning, everybody. My name is Shona Darcy, and I'm the founder and CEO of Kids Speech Labs, the first AI-driven solution for children's speech and language development. Speech is a really important developmental phase for children, and up to 20% of children experience some form of delay over their lifetime. The most important factor in ensuring that a delay in speech and language development doesn't have a long-term impact on a child's social, mental, educational, and employment future is early identification and intervention. But this window for early identification is getting harder to achieve across Europe. In Ireland today, there are 25,000 children waiting for their first speech therapy assessment. In the UK, 40% of parents wait between 12 and 28 weeks for this assessment. This is an industry that's still very paper-based and nearly fully reliant on face-to-face appointments for every part of the care pathway. It's also an industry whose workforce has been highlighted as being in short supply in the coming years. So combining all of these, the waiting lists that I mentioned are only going to get worse. At Share, we believe remote screening is the key to disrupting this industry. We're building smart technologies that can move the early stages of monitoring and identifying early speech and language delays out of the therapist's office and into homes, schools, and kindergartens. We know that if we can implement interventions from the earliest opportunities, we will reduce the amount of therapy that children inevitably need once they do need to go into the care pathway. We've been piloting our platform, our share platform, across with all our important stakeholders. With our direct-to-parent solutions, where we recruited families that were on the speech therapy waiting lists, and obviously experiencing high levels of frustration and anxiety. From this, we managed to remove 10% from the existing waiting lists, and another 10% identified an improvement in their child's speech skills. We have ongoing pilots with the Irish and UK healthcare systems to evaluate the benefits of the platform within the healthcare systems. And we're going to begin school screening in October of this year. This is a growing market with several important market drivers. So not only is this dwindling supply of speech therapists and an increase in demand for services, but parenting platforms such as Peppy and Baby Centre are showing that parents are no longer willing for the healthcare system to come to them. They're actively searching for the solutions they need to support their children. COVID-19 has obviously accelerated the adoption of most digital technologies in healthcare. Our goal is to be the de facto screening for all children for speech and language development, and this gives us a market opportunity of 300 million euros. Growing into Spanish will triple this market opportunity, mainly because of the severe lack of resources in Spanish-speaking countries. So in South America, there's about 5 to 7 speech therapists per 100,000, compared to Europe, where we have about 35. Other solutions are essentially delivering the existing care pathway just in a more convenient manner, so on teletherapy or with intervention apps. But none of these companies are really focusing on delivering solutions that can support the existing infrastructure, drive new care pathways that are more efficient, and allow speech therapists to actually manage more children on their caseload, but just as effectively. And there's also a severe lack of clinical regulation in this space. Kids Speech Labs have the ambition to be the first software regulated as a medical device in this industry. At the moment, we have been generating evidence and working with our partners in the UK and Ireland. Next year, we hope to begin generating revenue, as well as additional clinical validation, with market entry into the US in 2023. Our Class 2A regulatory submission will be in 2024 and second language in 2025. So Kids Speech Labs came about because of my experience in speech recognition technology, as well as 15 years experience in digital health solutions. I'm joined by Lindsay Harrison, who has 15 years experience designing solution or as a speech therapist, and is really passionate about seeing her industry meet the future needs. We have great partners across all aspects of the health ecosystem, from private health insurance to the national healthcare providers, as well as private speech language therapy clinics.
Great, thanks, Shona. That's a great pitch. Be interested to hear. Sorry, I'm keeping my video off just to make sure that you can hear me clearly. I'm interested to know how the children that actually go through your screening process, do you actually get any feedback specifically from them in terms of how they experience the process?
So we're actually focusing on younger children, where it's actually we're providing parents with the advice and activities that they can implement at home. So they're too young to really be put onto to use an app themselves. So what we're trying to do is really empower parents to begin those early activities and strategies and things that they can do at home to begin intervention. So even if you're sitting on a waiting list for 3, 4, 6 months, there are so many little things that parents can do at home. So we're kind of I guess the analogy we use is Duolingo for speech therapy.
All right, brilliant. So the children are realizing the benefits later on in life, and the parents are the ones that are really
so that when the children go into speech therapy, they have we're beginning to see the shoots of evidence that by the time they go into therapy, even with this home-based kind of parents doing the little activities, they're already starting to show improvements by the time they go in for therapy.
All right, brilliant. Thanks very much, Shona. We're now going to move on to Serendipity. George, I'm gonna bring. So we don't. I don't see you.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for having me. So this is Jorge, and I'm the founder. Sorry. No. Well, so this is Jorge. I'm the founder CEO of Serendipity, and Serendipity is our take at a better way to donate. Serendipity was born out of a feeling of frustration with the donation experience. I've always been a donor myself. I come from a family of journalists. My mom is a work correspondent, so she would always be very close to the work that charities are doing affected in areas affected by disaster relief. So since my first internship, I would donate a few quid like here and there to different charities, knowing that this was like kind of like my civic duty to do so. So a bit like paying my taxes. But ultimately, with always this feeling of like, is this really making any difference? Is my money worth it? No, or should I just like spending it elsewhere? So I would just like keep donating, not really thinking about it, but not really satisfied with the experience. And in my last job, I had a very nice corporate matching program where they would let me donate from my gross salary, and they would match that donation. So I saw it as an opportunity to give back and to start donating amounts that were not really a few pints every month, but more like a weekend in Paris, and also money that I would start caring about, just to realize that my donation experience was equally as bad in the sense that it was absent. You fill a form, you go to a website, and then you just start receiving emails asking you to donate more. So I started looking in the industry just to realize that for such a big industry, over $400 billion are donated by individuals every year, just between the US and the UK. There's no really a platform that is trying to make donating better. There's plenty of solutions that are trying to make fundraising easier for charities, but what about that user-first approach? How to make donating better in order to make people enjoy their donations? So why today? What we see is that there's three forces coming together. First is activism. The activism movement is becoming more frequent and more vocal. Black Lives Matter, Stop Asian Hate, Fridays for the Future, you name them. Activist movements and social issues are becoming an integral part of users' identity. So we still do not have a platform that lets people channel these communications and channel this identity and like really be part of this bigger movement and support the causes that they really care about. The second one that we see is that ESG and CSR policies are becoming something that corporations are increasingly aware of. So users and stakeholders are pressuring them to deliver on it, but ultimately it's good that you have an ESG policy, but if it's going to be buried on the Appendix 7 of your annual report, this is not something that is going to make it connect with your users. And finally, we have charities that have proven their value into the society and with the recent COVID crisis. But ultimately, this is still a sector that is not transparent at all, that is kind of opaque. And there's lots of charities and it's difficult for the user to decide what is the best one to donate. There's almost 2 million charities just between the US and the UK. And for the user, there's no real good way of finding what is the best charity to support for a specific cause. So I decided to team up with my co-founder. Myself, I'm a former Googler and started my career in private equity investing, and my co-founder is a technologist who started his career in IBM and who has spent over 10 years as a charity, as an executive at different UK charities. Our ultimate vision, what we're trying to do, is to connect users, corporations, and charities in a single platform that is transparent and that helps people not only channel these donations, but also communicate them to the world. Our ultimate vision is to ultimately build what would be a LinkedIn for altruism. So same as we have people that list on LinkedIn their professional achievements, we're trying to create this platform where people can not only can communicate the causes that they care about and the change that they want to see in the world to the rest of the people. So we just launched our MVP a few weeks ago, and this is an app-only platform for the time being that is available on iOS and Android. We right now have like a bit over 100 users, and what we're trying to do is to maximize the donor experience through several layers. First of all, would be a fintech one, where people can donate like through donation funds, something like an ETF that allows you to support the cause instead of a charity specifically if you have the time or the knowledge to pick the best charity for that. You allocate to a fund, and then this fund actively supports charities that fit
30 seconds.
Then we offer consolidated payment and tax just to remove frictions to the donation process, making it easy to donate to a charity just in a matter of seconds. And then what we have is a consolidated impact reporting with over 120 charities to choose from, where people can see the impact and see what people in their network have also donated to. And that's
George.
Yeah, thank you.
Last slide there. Great, thank you. Well done. A quick question: what would you say the biggest barrier to adoption for your technology would be?
Biggest barrier to adoption. So ultimately, what happens in this sector is that what we're competing against is the doing good feeling, no? And that what we're trying to do is to reinvent an existing experience that already happens in different platforms, right? Like you can go to a website to donate to these charities. So what is difficult here is it's in some way the call to action, right? Like how to bring the first users. That is a matter of just like product design. No, we're trying to create a product that will unlock some network effects where like people will talk about it and like share it, and that's a matter of product design and features. That is the result of like a constant iteration. So to really create that incentive for people to try it out and to bring to the sector something that has never been seen before. No, it's like something that we see in the fintech space. With investment management platforms, not really with the more for good social side. So it's a bit of a new take, and in this sector that is all about trust. It's a challenge, and we need to do our best to communicate it.
Right. Thanks, George. Brilliant. We're now going to move on to the next one. I don't see Vic I don't see Roxanne or Graham waiting to come on board. So please, if you can add yourselves now. There we go. Graham from Peer Education, I'm going to bring you up. I don't see Roxanne from Vic by WeFight.
Sorry, I was just pitching in the EdTech one, so I'm going straight from one to another. Hey, how are you? I actually met you a while ago, I think last year, didn't I, during this process, I think. I'm ready to pitch when you were.
Are you sorry, using slides?
Yeah. I'm going to use slides if that's okay.
You need to go ahead and share. Click on the little screen with the red line through it.
Yeah, perfect. You can see that?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. All right. Over to you.
Cool. Thank you very much. Did you know up to 20% of people in education are dyslexic? I'm a person with dyslexia. My name is Graham Brockelbank, and I'm the CEO and founder of Happyr, an assistive technology that supports writing, reading, and spelling for people with dyslexia in education. So dyslexia is the most common learning disability in the world, with a significant about 33 million people in third world that suffer from dyslexia. It's important to remember dyslexia is a lifelong neurological condition, and there is no cure for it. What we're offering is support for the person with dyslexia. So it's support in education, and then also support in the workplace, and then throughout the workplace. The consequences with this long-term support or long-term intervention for a person with dyslexia is that 40% of drug and alcoholics in the UK and Ireland are dyslexic. Students with dyslexia are twice as likely to drop out of education, suffer from low self-esteem, and from the lack of supports. And this is due to the information and what's known around dyslexia. Not only that the person not feeling that supported, but also teachers within Ireland and the UK reporting, 90% of teachers within Ireland and the UK reporting that the pre-service training did not prepare them to recognize dyslexia in the classroom and to offer support. It leads to increased rates of depression for a person with dyslexia, and then unfortunately suicide. This is a societal issue, and it's facing every person with dyslexia. And as I said, it's not just an Irish issue, it's an Ireland and a UK issue. So what are the problems that we're addressing? So the three short-term issues facing a person with dyslexia is accessibility. They have no way to access their documents, they have no way to read their documents, and then they have no way to prepare material to write for the documents to give to the student or the lecturer or teacher. So essentially, they're not being supported the whole way through education. Parents and teachers and lecturers have really limited time and don't have time to support the student. You have the likes of teachers will be potentially teaching 33 students in the class and won't have that time to provide that one-to-one support. Parents with COVID working from home don't really have the time to support the student as what they previously did. And then people with dyslexia, as I said, are twice as likely to drop out of education from the lack of support. So what does our product do? Our product is a specialized EdTech product for people with dyslexia. It addresses the short-term needs of the person with dyslexia, and is B2C with colleges, universities, and primary schools, and B2C with parents of people with dyslexia and people in the workplace with dyslexia. We're delivered via website and mobile application. Peer gives the student their own private workspace that uses text-to-speech to aid them with their reading and speech-to-text to aid them with their writing and spelling and grammar. So think Dropbox, but for dyslexic people. We're fully GDPR compliant, and we support the students with their needs right now in education. So right now we have a roadmap. We have a year-long pilot starting with University College London with over 100 students and staff. A part of this, they're helping us build our onboarding process and our admin side of our product. So this is going to be, build and test it. So essentially what they're going to do is we're going to be able to, one of the big things we found from our customers on the university in third level and in secondary school is that they, potentially they could be handling 100 students and they have to handle a license for 100 students. And then they have to provide training for those 100 students, which can be anywhere from 3 to 4 hours. So 3 to 4 hours of 100 students, 400 hours, say, you're talking £8,000 to £10,000 of money just they have to spend in terms of time spent training. We're using natural language processing, and we're using data analytics and a touch of AI in the background. What we've kind of built with our onboarding process, we can effectively judge the engagement of the user, and from this it can be indications, particularly for third level education, that our product will be able to indicate if the student is starting to fall out of education, so then the disability support officers can offer those resources there. We're beginning our seed round this October, and we have a big massive update coming in June. As I said, dyslexia is a huge market. We're particularly going after people with severely dyslexic, which is the 5% of all people in education, which I'm one of. EdTech's booming. It went from being 24 billion in 2019 to over 100 billion, and that's due to COVID. And it essentially forced people in education to make this digital switch. So thankfully, I'm not alone doing this. I do have a first-class honours degree. I've been an award-winning entrepreneur, and I'm on Social Entrepreneurs Ireland. I've won awards in business excellence, along with Mark Sweetman, who is our chartered accountant, who's also won awards in business excellence as well. And then Gary Marlock, who is our back-end developer and front-end UI, and he has been working with us. I met him through an entrepreneur program called New Frontiers in Ireland. Thankfully, we're not alone. We have our team of advisors, Dr. Nosy Heaney, who's head of data analytics, Sean Murray and Patrick Barry, who are yeah, no problem.
All right, thanks very much.
No worries. Sorry, just went a little bit over it.
No problem at all. A quick question. I see you're about to raise a seed round. Any specific plans about or anything you'd like to mention in terms of fundraising?
Sorry, I heard seed. You broke up there. You heard seed round and then raising.
Yeah, it's how are you going to go about raising?
Oh.
That seed funding, any specific
plans? So we've got a couple of different ways that we're looking at. We're doing there's a thing called Enterprise Ireland in Ireland, and essentially they do match funding. So we're using them as match funding for 250,000, and then we are going to look to raise another 350,000 separately from that. So there's a thing called HBAM in Ireland, which is a venture capital sort of network of angel investors. And then we're targeting 2 VCs particular. I don't want to say them out loud here, but we're targeting 2 VCs in particular to go after them, because they are essentially we're a profit for a purpose company. We're there to actually support the person. That's our main goal. And the VCs that we're targeting are specifically there to support companies that are tech companies and deep tech companies that are there to support social and have social issues or social. They're trying to address a large social issue, and that's why we're targeting them.
No, great. Thanks. All the best with that fundraising. Great.
Brilliant. Cheers. Thanks very much.
And we're now going to hand over to.
Cool. Have a good day.
Roxanne from Vic.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
Cheers. All right, we've got Roxanne. It's joining us now. Oh, hi, Roxanne. Sorry,
hello.
Yeah, my audio is not great. So if I feel like I'm missing anything that you're saying,
yeah,
I apologize.
It's turning off.
Got your 5-minute pitch. you want to get your screen up.
So, do you see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, great. So thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here and present you Vic. My name is Roxanne, representing WeFight, and the solution I'd like to discuss today is the virtual companion that is empowering patients while collecting patient-generated health data. And a few words on WeFight first. Our mission today is, as I mentioned, to empower patients anywhere in the world that are suffering from cancer and chronic diseases and becoming the reference in patient data. So we have some milestones in terms of, for example, the second funding. We just closed of 10 million in Series A, and we are today multidisciplinary team of 65 people with the scientific teams, pharmacists, healthcare professionals, but also all the tech teams, and present in many countries across the world. So now to the solution. Today, we are addressing big challenges we see. The first one is around the patients. And we see that the patients, when they're out of the hospitals or the medical visit, they need answers and support. They do not have today this easy access to reliable information 24/7 in an instantly way and manner. And we see that HCPs are also less and less available to discuss anything around the disease and help them address different questions and challenges they're facing. And the other challenge we address with Vic, our solution, is this need in the industry, in the healthcare ecosystem, to better understand patients and the pain points in their journey, to understand what can be done in order to address these needs and these expectations, so they can better manage their disease on a daily life. So this is why we developed today Vic, which is, I mentioned, the virtual companion that is on one side empowering patients, on the other side giving you and the industry direct access to patient data. So this is in a form of an application, and it's a AI-powered conversational agent that is capable of answering all the questions the patients may have around the disease, so disease treatment or anything around the quality of life. All the content today that is shared through Vic is validated scientifically with a committee of scientific experts and also patient associations to provide the best solution for these patients. And in terms of technology, I mentioned AI. We also leverage machine learning and natural language processing. And you can download it for free. It's available on the App Store, Google Play, Facebook Messenger. The idea here is to bring it in a very easy access for the patients. And the other opportunity here is really this need I mentioned to access real-world patient data. It's a big topic today, and there is a gap today to fill with what patients are expecting, what patients need, and how we can have this direct access to patients, how we can understand their perspectives and their experience with the disease, and what can be done, as I mentioned, to improve this. Vic is not only responding to all the questions the patients may have, it's also using the algorithm to create patient profile, better understand the entire expectation from these patients. A few numbers, KPIs that we have developed today 34 Vics in 14 diseases, present in 12 countries, and we work for every application, every Vic, with key opinion leaders, patient associations, and gathering one of the biggest user community of 350,000 today across the platform. And we are working today with the top pharmaceutical companies globally. You have some names on the screen: GSK, Pfizer, Astellas, AstraZeneca, Sanofi, etc. One big differentiation and the impact that we have today has been today scientifically validated. We have, throughout the different VICs that we developed, conducted real-world studies in order to get some understanding on the impact in terms of the satisfaction and the benefits that it brings in terms of support for the patients. Another important impact is qualitative, to understand what the patients actually think from the solution, and what's and what's next is to scale globally and use this funding to go internationally and develop our innovative pipeline of products.